Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to another installment of the Full Deck Challenge. I am going to be doing 2 cards today because I am a week behind. This prompt for this week is dark blue, and we're supposed to be working intuitively. And so I have this Project Life card because I'm not actually using playing cards for this challenge, although you certainly could. I'm just trying to use up some of these Project Life cards that I have had in my stash forever. Some are Project Life. I have other brands as well, but I'm just going to dive in. So this first piece that you see me gluing down here is actually my carryover item from the previous week. So this was actually showed up in my card last time. And then my constant item is a word, and those words are always words that I pull from my word study the previous week. So, which is why I am doing 2 this week because I'm a week behind. So anyway, the word for this week that I will be focusing on is righteousness for this card. But I just pulled out all of these different kinds of shades of blue, shades of dark blue, and I had this in my stash. This wasn't actually like a piece of mail that came that had some artist work on the front. And so I basically just kind of roughly fussy cut those flowers out because I think that I want to make that my focal image. I just liked all of those colors together. And then I also have this piece of, this is actually some Yupo paper that has some alcohol ink on it. And it had some of those same kind of blues and greens on it. So I just cut a section of this. I'm going to glue this down here along the left side. In the end, most of that Project Life card will get covered up. I know that it looks black on camera here, but it actually is like a navy blue. And so most of it's going to get covered up, and I'm totally fine with that. It's really just the substrate. Sometimes I like to leave the background, and other times I cover it up completely. So it's totally just whatever happens. And also I want to break up some of that. It's actually Tim Holtz paper that was my carryover item. I just have that glued down because of that section was, just totally white and it didn't have the pattern all the way down. So now I'm going to use the biggest part of this floral piece here. I do want to keep some of the green just because I'm trying to pull all of those colors together. And I think I'm just going to kind of glue this down just like it is. You can see on the back there's some information about the actual artist that did this artwork here. And then I'm just going to kind of glue this over in the corner. You can see there's just very little white showing from that background. I'm going to trim off the excess, and it's going to just be a very simple card. So again, my constant item is a word, and so I'm typing those out on my Dymo label maker. And so I always have this nice bold black and white word to use. Again, this word was righteousness for this week. This was the word study the last word study I did after vacation. And so I'm just adding that kind of along the length of the card just because it was such a long word. And then I'm adding just a little bit of white detailing with this just to try to brighten this up a little bit. Just going through with a white gel pen and adding a few little sketchy marks here and there to the center of the flowers, to some of the leaves. It's really hard to see on camera. I did a little bit of a border as well down on that Tim Holtz paper. But just really simple, just to try to, like I said, kind of brighten everything. Also bring some of the white from the background card up into the image itself. And so that's going to be pretty much it for that card. So the next week's prompt was purple with white splatters, I believe is what it was. So I have a Project Life card again that has that is purple, and then this was in my stash forever, and this is actually a calendar page. And so I really love how this goes like the purple into the yellow. There's just something about this with the snow and everything that I just think is so beautiful and peaceful. And so that's what I'm going to be using along with this pattern paper. This is actually an old piece of pattern paper from By the Will for God. It's been in my stash. And so I'm going to be trimming down this little section, just kind of pulling out those purples. I just felt like these papers went really, really well together because they have those sort of purples and yellows in there as well. And I just like the contrast of those 2 colors together. So I did tear off a little bit of this calendar page, and most of this is going to get covered up in terms of you're not going to actually see that this is a snow-covered tree necessarily. It's really just the color and pattern that I'm going here for. So I'm using a Yoo-Hoo glue stick to glue this down. This is, again, this is from a calendar page. And so it's going to hold this down just fine. Just kind of lining this up, and then I will trim off all of the excess. And then I'm actually going to glue a little bit of that calendar page to the back side of this card as well. That way I can write my information on the back of these cards. On the back of these cards, I'm writing out the verse where my word study word came from. It's just another way to kind of keep my mind focused on the study that I did. And so I needed to have a space to write. Most of these cards are dot grid or whatever on the back, but this one happened to have a design. So I just glued some of that calendar page on there so I would have some room to write. So I glued down that page from By the Will for God. And now I need to pull a carryover item from my previous card, which is going to be this paper that has the alcohol ink on it. And I could see a section that had some of the very similar colors as these background pages. So I cut out a very wonky heart, and then I put that on some purple cardstock just to help it pop. And then I'm going to go around that with some black archival ink. Really just to make it so that it will stand up against that really busy background. My word for this week is refuge. You can see I've already added that on my Dymo label maker there, but I felt like I needed something else behind there to kind of just give a little bit more interest. So I have this cheesecloth, which actually has some purples and blues and pinks in it. And I can't even remember how I dyed this. It's been so long. It's been in my stash. So I just cut off a little bit of it. I just wanted to make sure that I pulled some that still had some of the white as well as some of the purple. And then I'm just going to add a whole lot of glue to the back of this little wonky heart. And that is what's actually going to hold the cheesecloth in place. And so I'm just going to hold that there for a second. Having enough of that glue, it will seep right through the cheesecloth and hold everything down just fine. And then the last thing that I need to do is add some white splatter. So I am using a wash of gesso. I just keep it in this old bottle of gesso. And then I use a fan brush for my splatters. I feel like I get the best results with this. So I'm just kind of adding some in that top left-hand corner and then some in the bottom right-hand corner as well. Just randomly here and there. Now, I can't really heat this to dry it because of that Yupo paper. So I am just going to have to let that sit, but I'm adding my word refuge on there, and that will be it for me for this week. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Consider joining my Facebook group. That's listed in the description as well. And until next time, bye.